But the thing is, people hardly pay the sacrifices that can get you the good things. There is nothing of value that comes free. There is nothing of value that is cheap as well. You find that you would have to pay certain prices before you can achieve wealth. And that's usually the background of anything, any talk I give anywhere. I like to state a few things that must give. Something must give. You know, even God, when he wanted to save the world, he gave his only begotten son. Something sacrificial must be given to get something precious back. You know, the first thing is time. You cannot be a CEO and think that you own your time. Honestly, one of the things I've done the most in my life is work close to pastors. And I can tell you for free that you literally control your pastor's time. Oh, pastor, my mommy, I need you to pray. Oh, pastor, like as if he doesn't have a life. You know, it's very similar to the way CEOs are. So you get a client calling. While I was on my way to Abuja this morning, someone called me that we need to meet in Lagos on Monday. So you see, so this is me. I got into Lagos on Thursday. I was there Friday. I came to Abuja Saturday. Sunday or Monday, first flight, I'm back in Lagos. I didn't plan that. But that has to happen because the business has to keep growing. Right? And we're at the early stage of our growth. So it's more demanding on my time as the leader of the business. So time, you will give your time. You would not control your time. However, you should manage your time. It's a resource. The beautiful thing about time is, just like every other resource, it can be effectively managed. Because of the lack of time, I'm not teaching time management. I'll just mention a few things that you can put into place. Take up your computers, Google them later. There's something called the time quadrant, in which you can divide your time into important and urgent, important and not urgent, not important and not urgent, and then not important and urgent. I think those four things. So you learn how to schedule your day. By the time you put them in boxes, you start with the ones that are important and they are urgent. You move to the others like that. Another thing is to divide your day into three. While I was in school, I happened to be the student president in Covenant University, and then I learned that that was when I learned it, that we're tripartite, spirit, soul, and body. And then the average every day is 24 hours, and you divide that by 3. It means you can give each part of your being 8 hours. You get what I'm saying? So you dedicate 8 hours of your day to your spirit. You dedicate 8 hours of your day to your body, because you must rest. Right? There's a quote that says, I gave you a horse and a message. You killed the horse and you couldn't deliver the message. That horse is your body. So you must take care of yourself. You must eat properly. You must have a workout routine and all of those things. And then you dedicate 8 hours to your soul, which is your mind, the seat of cognition. What you know is what sets you apart in the market. Right? What do you know that no other person knows? What can you do differently from every other person? Those are the things another 8 hours goes into. Another thing is service. I say this, publicly. I can trace my first 1 billion naira to service. I served someone, and then he opened a door for me, and then I made 1 billion naira. That's straightforward, honestly. A lot of people in my generation, our generation, we underrate the benefit of serving. Some people think they're serving, but they actually are not. I say publicly that service is an elevator. How does this work? If I had to go to the 30th floor, right, and I was using the stairs, that is what hard work is. So I'm working hard. A lot of us are working hard. But you can actually just serve a relationship. And then it works like an elevator. The person just picks you from the 4th floor, right? And then you end up on the 30th floor. Do you understand my illustration? That's exactly how service is. There are things that many of my contemporaries have been working for years, and I get it with a phone call. Or they're even coming to knock on my door. Why? Because I have access to a relationship who they value. I'll probably give more examples as I go on. Diligence, hard work. I honestly believe in it a lot, and I think it's a combination of, it's not just to manage your time, not to serve. I think it's a combination of all these things. Because if you are managing your time and you're not diligent, the Bible talks about a man that is diligent in his business. He'll stand before kings and not mere men. So who you are standing before shows me the level of your diligence. If all the people that you serve are not kings, I question your diligence. Because there's no way you'll be diligent and kings will not look for you. So while you are praying that, I attract kings. I pray that prayer every morning, actually. It's on my wall. I attract kings. I raise kings. I'm a king. While I'm doing that, I'm also making sure I'm diligent in my business, because that's the criteria. That's the prerequisite to get me before kings, right? Are we following? Am I boring you? Okay. So it's important that you're diligent. I, for one, I wake up at 4:30 every morning. I resume in my office at 5 a.m. That's my resumption time. I spend the first 2 hours of my day praying and studying, 5 to 7. And then I start working at 7. My colleagues resume at 9. I've worked 2 hours ahead of them. By 10, I would have worked for 5 hours. People don't really work more than 5 hours. See, let's tell ourselves the truth, right? If you have a job, your job is 9 to 5. Out of that 9 to 5, 4 hours is what you spend doing active work. Then when it's 5, maybe you didn't meet your deadline. You now start rushing, burning candle, making it look like you were working all day. But a lot of things came in between your time. Let's be honest, though. I worked before, so I can tell you this. I look at my colleagues most times and I say, I did this thing to my boss. It's okay, do it to me. I'm probably reaping what I sowed. So it's very important for us to be diligent. Hard work. I've not seen anybody that said this guy died because he works hard. I have not seen that person, and I don't think there is. Take it up another level. Smart work. How you take your decisions smartly. You actually work on the right things. One of the things that kills us in Africa is wasted efforts. We spend so much time on the wrong things, and then we get the wrong results. Then we wonder why. A simple question to somebody would have solved that problem. Continuous learning. Pastor addressed this earlier. My favorite quote in the whole world says that you should empty your pocket to fill your mind, and then your mind will in turn empty itself to fill your pocket. So one of the biggest investments that you can make is an investment in your mind, on your mind. See, everything that you do will come out from you, is in your being. So you need to be careful what you are putting inside, because it determines what is coming outside. It's just like a computer system. Everything I'm reading to you, I was the one that put it in this lap, in this iPad. If I did not put it there, there's no miracle that will happen. I'll come here looking for it. It's the same way the human system works. So when you see your product, also check what you're consuming. It determines what is coming out of you. The last one, I'm talking about sacrifices for networking. This is an area of strength for me. By the grace of God, God connected me very well to a lot of people, in different scopes in the nation. And then I was able to find my feet and build value from that network. But it started from a question. And my question was this. I asked myself, and I think you should do this when you get home. If I need 100,000 naira now, can I get 10 people that will give me 10,000 naira? This was way back, right? And then, honestly, I went through my phone book. I could only be assured of 30,000 naira. So you can imagine the value of my relationships then. It was, it was ridiculous, but then it woke me up. So I started afresh, and then I set targets. I said I wanted to have 10 friends that could give me 100,000. I made that so I could raise 1 million. If anything happens, I could raise 1 million then. I now said I wanted to have 10 friends that could give me 1 million. I exceeded that. I now said I wanted to have 10 friends that could give me 10 million each. I exceeded that. And that's how I kept on setting targets and meeting them, and setting targets and meeting them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you might need to reevaluate your circle today and see what the value is. I'm talking as a businessman, please. I'm not a pastor. So as I'm mentioning money, don't feel anyhow. That's what I do. So I'm not saying anybody that doesn't have money should not be your friend. I'm saying for the sake of your business, okay? Because one of the things that kills, if you check the startup mortality rate in Africa, is very high. It's very high. Businesses die after 4 years. In fact, these days, 2 years, somebody has changed it. I've lost a number of startups. I said lost because I see them as children. I've lost a number of them. So I know how it is. The market is volatile. The market is different. And the market demands a lot from you, right? One of the things that the market demands is capital, is money. I'll get into that. And that is going to help you, of course, change your business, market your business, put it in front of the right people, connect with the right people and all of that. You spend money to get money. It's an investment. A lot of people consider marketing as an expense. In my books, marketing, advertising, promotions, they're on the investment side because these things pay off. And I can give you a lot of examples, which I would as I go on. So these are the sacrifices that I believe that if you make, you will be on your pathway to generating wealth, to create wealth. My topic for consideration today is 12 mistakes that kill startups. Now, we're talking about building a thriving business in the 21st century. So I'm coming from the point of view of the things that will kill a business if you do not address them. Right? So at the same time as I'm telling you these things, I'll be telling you things to do to make sure that your business stays alive. I think 69% of people here, 66, are already running their businesses. So that's a good sign. If you have not started yours, it's time to start. The reason is because I have this conversation a lot with people, and they say things like, not everybody is made to be an entrepreneur, which is quite honest. There's nothing wrong with not deciding to be an entrepreneur. That's fine. If that's not what you want to do, if you don't feel led to be an entrepreneur, please don't. You can end up depressed. You can end up in pain. You can end up sad. When Pastor was talking about losing money, see, I've lost money. A lot of it. So I know what I'm saying when I say you can actually end up depressed, So if it's not for you, it's not for you. If you don't feel like running a business, don't run a business. However, you should not say you won't have other sources of income. You see, so that's the difference. So I have people who, they don't run businesses, but they come to me every time. Oh, can I invest in your ideas? Can I put money in your business and all of that? So what I'm saying is, you might not be among the 66%, but do something with the money you earn. Don't leave it. Don't just receive something and leave it the way it was. Remember the stewards in the Bible, and you come back and say, God, but it's only 100,000 you gave me this month. No, he expects you to multiply that money. So you want to study about investments. If you don't believe in being a front runner or a driver of a business, you want to understand how to multiply money, how to generate money with the little you have and turn it into more. But if you're on the business side of things, today's the time to start. And back to that story of people that say they had one catfish and then it turned into a big catfish farm. So I came into Abuja in 2016. I came into Abuja in 2016, yes. I honestly, and my stories are verifiable, because the people that did stuff with me at different times, a few of them are here and all of that. So I came into Abuja with 30,000 naira and 2 suitcases. My most prized possession was a shoe. This is how foolish I was, by the way. My most prized possession was a shoe and my phone. So I came into, Pastor, you're the only one laughing. Some people are guilty. You see that they didn't laugh. Yes, because as youths, come on, like, what's the thing that you spend money on? You want to use the latest iPhone. How much is it? It's about 450,000. How much do you make a year? You now spend all your money on a phone. That's probably the most expensive thing you own. So So that was my story in 2016. And then funny thing is, it's not like I didn't have money. I used to work in an advertising agency in Lagos, one of the top five. I'd gotten the position of general manager at just 26, 25. 2016, I was 25. And then at that point in time, I was just very frivolous. I didn't understand how to use money. That's why I said earlier that I was foolish. Some people thought I was abusing myself, but I was foolish actually. Like the foolish virgins, I was. And then, I just used to spend it all like that. I used to just throw money away and all of those things. And I wasn't having a good time. So I ran into Abuja, and for a year I didn't do anything. The whole of 2016, I went to serve. I was serving in a church in the same city. And that was all I was doing, really. There was no consistent income. There was nothing. I was serving. I knew that there was something to learn. I knew that there were things I didn't understand about life and about success, which I needed to learn so that I do not lose what I gain again. Because what happens to many people is they get progress and then they lose. Then it's like they're gone back. Then they start working forward again, then they go back. It seems like they're on a spot. And the reason is because they've not learned the principle of sustainable relevance. Sustainable relevance is taught perfectly by Joseph. You have 7 years of plenty, you have 7 years of famine. If you study it, you see how to make sure that what you get stays. And then even during famine, you cannot tell the difference in their lifestyles because they were able to manage in the days of plenty. So the first one is people don't start. People have dreams. They have very beautiful books. They write it with cursive handwriting. Some people will buy red pen, use it to underline some things. Green pen, circle. You know those people that write second term begins with a different pen in their notes. So you have all sorts. They have dreams. They have plans. They've done vision board and all of those things, but they are not starting. So that's why I'm telling you my own story of how I started. So I came into this Abuja, I was doing all of that, and then, of course, there was no money. But I would always transport myself to the church office, do things. I'm very good with media stuff, editing photos, editing videos. So I was using my skill to serve, building social media platforms and all of that. That's what I was. Those were the things I was proficient at. And then I did those wholeheartedly in church. And then one day while I was in church, I just realized that I was sitting on $1 billion business. Because if it's about people needing the service, there are plenty. But in the city of Abuja in 2016, I wouldn't be able to count 5 advertising agencies. So there was a very big gap. And then I said to myself, let me go and register this company. So while I was thinking about that, God was already making a provision for me. While in Lagos, I served someone, again, service. And then the person's assistant called me and said, his Oga is now a top person in one of my clients today. And it's important that I put in a pitch for it. I didn't have a registered company. I just knew that I joined two people. I joined two people's names together and it formed a company. And then I did presentation and went to this place. Now I was sitting against companies like Red Media, Insights, and DDB. These are Insights is number 1, DDB is number 3. But I was just one guy that had ideas. So I put it together nicely. Again, I didn't just go looking shabbily. I had to call my friend from Lagos to fly in just to follow me because I know it will look very well. So we went together and he sat down. We didn't have business cards. We only had a pitch deck. And we put it on the screen. And by the time we were done, the MD just turned and said, these are the guys we're working with. So that was my first 27 million. Now this was in February 2017. So I had served for a year with nothing. Remember, don't forget the timelines. So I got that, and the next thing now is the company has procedures on how to get paid If you're in supply, if you're a vendor and all of that, you understand that some will tell you after 3 months, when your invoice has matured, that's when we can pay you. So I found myself in a hole. I'm not on number 2 yet. I'm still on number 1. He wants me to leave here in time. So I just found myself in a hole, and then I could not service this client that was expecting service from me. I'd hired 4 people at that time, of course, because there was demand, not because I just like to hire people. Just yesterday, we concluded a recruitment process. We're hiring 100 people across universities. It's because there's a need and we want to empower people. It's not like, so our staff strength is jumping up to 130 people. So I had 4 people at that time who were working with me, and it was a tough time. For 3 months, honestly, I couldn't pay salaries. It was also my first time being slapped hard by the business space. This happens to a lot of entrepreneurs because you just jump in thinking the way your idea is sweet in your head is the way that it will be when you get to the field. And then you get there and the reality sets in and you're like, so that's what happened to me. And then I went back to people that mentors that I looked up to and everything, and nobody was willing to help. So I said, I'll take a loan. I'll tell that story later. But the important thing is I had revenue, even though most times my revenue was on paper. You see, when I calculate my revenue for the month, I was smile. 10 million, how much is the account? Nothing. Because they have not paid. You understand what I'm saying? So somehow there were little miracles here and there. I don't believe in coincidences. I call them miracles. So I met somebody who had something to do, and then I met Wisdom at Transcorp. And then we traveled together to Benin. We did one job. That was the first alert I got as Rage Media. It was 600,000. And we were just shouting everywhere. So like that, there were little miracles that covered up for that gap. And then eventually we became fine. And we became a sustainable business. One of the things that sustain businesses is what's called cash flow. A lot of people run businesses, but their cash is not flowing. You see, most people keep their cash and it's sitting in one place. You know what devaluation is? Do you know that today, 1 million naira can only get you about $2,000? Whereas last year, I think, it was $3,000. And 2 years ago, it was $4,000. So that's how your money, when it's not flowing, just like the way a river stinks when it's stagnant, that's how your money too loses value. So when you're running a business, money must be flowing. You must build an ecosystem that allows your money to go around. I'll go to point number 2 now. So the first one was that you should start. Second reason why startups fail is that they do not build a brand. You can build a business and not have a brand. There are lots of people that they are the biggest suppliers of some things in Nigeria. I was shocked to know that Costaris is the biggest supplier of spare parts. When he told me, I screamed. So you're buying, he says that sometimes his prayer is that they should not repair the road so that people's car will spoil, so that they can buy spare parts. Because when they are buying, you are buying from him. Anywhere you buy, Abuja, Lagos, any market, Onitsha, anywhere, you're buying from him. He didn't build a brand for that. Of course, reasons you know why. Because his sales, his product is moving. Do you understand? His importer, exporter, that kind of thing. But he's not a manufacturer. Okay, so when you have products, because I read that about 60% of people have products, physical products, and then some of us have service business. I have a service business. I don't have a product business yet, but next year I'll have a couple of product businesses. The idea is when you have stuff that you are selling and you're doing them in a unique way, you must identify them. So branding itself in history comes from the times when it was an agrarian society, and then what people used to trade was exchange, barter. Sorry, that was what I was trying to remember. So trade by barter. I have yam, you have pawpaw, right? You say 5 pawpaw will equal 2 yam, and then we exchange, that kind of thing. But then people's tastes were becoming sophisticated, and then there was a need to differentiate where this yam is coming from, where this pawpaw is coming from. Do you see the challenge? So if you travel by road, some people still do it. They will mark with colors the yams. How many of you have seen that? So that's branding. Is to identify that this one is coming from George's farm, while this other one is coming from Lola's farm. So that's how branding started. You have a product and you do not differentiate. You be like every other person, and you're not giving people a reason to patronize you. So give them a reason to like your color, to like the way you sell your brand, to like your tone, to like how your brand looks, to like your voice. Create things about you that people can relate with. That's what branding is. To say every time I see white, I know I'm thinking about Christ. I'm saying it was someone that built the brand, that you find that some pastors even wear white only to preach, so they are holy. We've associated that concept with holiness. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. So there is a need to also brand your business. That's why you find that GT is always that orange wherever you meet them. FCMB was black and white before, and now became purple. Yes, and became purple. And MTN is always yellow everywhere. These are unique identifiers. So these things are not just limited to colors, by the way. Branding is not just about color. Differentiation is not just about color. Even the quality of your product is as important as the branding you give to it. When my profile was being read and everything, that was branding. So now you're about to see whether I fit that profile. You understand? So the fastest way to kill a product is to advertise it prematurely. So I want to sell chips, and then I've not perfected the recipe, and I put it on social media. Order for the best chips in town. Anybody can claim anything, name and claim. I can claim that I'm the best in my industry. But when people try me, do they feel that way? Does my brand have integrity? So as startups, we need to master that concept of building our brands and making sure that our offerings, our products, match up to the promises that we make. What is a brand? A brand is a promise. When you think about different brands, there's a promise that comes to your mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you following, please? Good. So there's a promise that comes to your mind. I think about Coca-Cola. What came to your mind? Anybody? Huh? Sugar. God bless you. That's what comes to my mind, because somebody has demarketed Coca-Cola. Do you understand what I'm saying? Coca-Cola did not tell us that it's sugar you're drinking. They will tell you open for happiness, and all of that. That's their branding. So in some other parts of the world, it's interpreted that way. But in this place, my mother would literally, when I was growing up, would literally beat me for drinking Coke from the fridge. It was reserved for special days, like Christmas, like birthdays. I kid you not, So in my head, when I'm drinking that thing, I'm harming myself. So it's been heavily demarketed. And that's another danger of leaving your brand or your business in a vacuum. So you're not talking, and then you leave it for people to talk, right? So they started the story of Ajinomoto. Ajinomoto didn't used to do a lot of advertising until they noticed people were calling them a bleach, that it's better to use it to wash. So I remember when I was working in JWT in Lagos, they came to us and said, oh, there's problem. We need to do a campaign. People are saying we're a soap. And then I got home and I tried it and it cleaned my toilet. I said, it's GMO. Right? You know, in America, they don't encourage all those kind of things. Like, it's in Nigeria, you're cooking, you just pour Maggi. Especially bachelors, you just, those days, you just pour everything. You buy tomato paste, pour it. You buy Maggi, pour it. You buy salt, pour it. You wonder whether it's rice you're cooking or it's Maggi you're cooking. You don't know, but you're mixing all of those things. It's important to have a voice for yourself so that other people don't do your talking. Because when other people are talking for you, you stand at a risk. This was the problem in the last elections. I give case studies from my industry a lot. So please understand, I'm not talking down on any politician or whatever. In the last elections, we had a very gentle president who I feel failed me because he let power go. But that's okay. That's another. Last two elections, yes, sorry. And then so many other people were talking against him, and he was quiet. He would just come and say, we're deeply sad, all those kind of lines that I used to say, it wasn't aggressive enough. There's just something about the body language of a person and as a response to what is going on. So it was just quiet, and then people were talking. And before you know it, he was out of the office as an incumbent president. It should have been a war of words. Because those guys were always talking. Those guys were, if anything happens anywhere, they will put it on all the headlines. They were sponsored. Those things were not. By the way, there's something called agenda setting, which is related to what I'm teaching now, branding. You determine agendas. Agendas are created. News is created. Out of the 15 top headlines in Nigeria today, 4 of them are from my office. So don't think events happened and then journalists went to write news. Somebody paid us to make sure that they make the front page. I kid you not. So news is made. So the same way you must approach your business. Make news with your business, not noise. There are some people with WhatsApp broadcast, they send you 20 a day. Then you mute them. That's the first step. Then they'll still keep sending, you now block them. Because they are just making noise, So branding is important. I'll jump to the next one. Bad location and wrong platform. So I combine two things together. You could have a physical business, you could have a virtual business. In today's world, we're talking about 21st century. So the lockdown hit at some point, and then nobody could do business physically. And then I started up a business called Brainbox. And then Brainbox, unfortunately, did not open up Nigeria's market to me, but they opened up America's market to me. I'm sure we made close to $40,000 from just that idea of starting Brainbox. And we had clients from Maryland, from Houston, and from Atlanta, basically, because they're what you call early adopters, right? You're starting a business. You are not looking at your positioning. That's the word. You want to sell Rolls Royce, and you put yourself in Gwagwalada. I just wonder who you want to sell it to. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so you know that people are not going to buy Rolls Royce online, by the way. You don't know. Let me tell you the value of the car. It's 420 million naira. If you will transfer 420 million naira to someone for what you have not seen and you've not entered it, I'm afraid. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Okay. So you need to understand your product, you need to understand the market. But Nigeria still has a very huge adoption gap in terms of virtual businesses. Please, no matter how big you think Jumia and Konga are, they're very small, they're tiny compared to your physical stores, your markets. Trust me, the value in Alaba market will crush all those Jumia and Konga to the ground. to the granular. So understand the terrain, the geographical location that you're operating in. Even if you can't get a store of your own, why not partner with somebody? So, for instance, my friend makes clothes. It's very, has a very nice showroom and all of that in Lagos. And then this other guy makes socks. And he cannot afford, the volume, right? How much is socks really? He cannot afford to get a place in that location. So he says, how far? Can I have just one corner and display my socks? So that while people come into your store to see your suits, they need socks, right? They go and they also buy from me. But my friend is a wicked person. Instead, he started making socks. You see, there are human beings like that too. So you need to be careful. You need to prayerfully approach people before you go and sell your ideas. Because he just thought about there's a concept called integration in business, and you just say, so this guy is going to be taking, my customer comes with 100,000. He will give me 80, he will give this guy 20. Why don't I collect everything? And so so you have to consider the location. Brick and mortar model will always still thrive in Nigeria. Mix it. That's what I'm trying to say. You must build your business in a hybrid form. You see, no matter how much, I was talking to someone the other day, he does something online and it's very big. And yet he's opening branches in different cities. And, we're just talking about it and he said, no matter how much he has online, he still believes that the people that come to his physical meetings are the real people that are his customers. Permit me. It's true. It's true. Because, you see, me online, for instance, I will watch 7 different, I'm not loyal. You people are making me look like a bad person. Yes, because I will change, watch this one a bit, move to this. Do you get what I'm saying? You keep testing because what is called switching cost. That's what it's called. Switching cost for virtual business is very low. So I'll give you an example. It's very easy for you to change your internet provider, but to change your house, you would think, you say, okay, the road, the children's school, my office. So the switching cost in real estate is very high. For a car, it's the same thing. By the time you buy a car, you step on the gas, the value has dropped. So you've just driven a car for 2 months, someone is already marketing another car to you. You will lose money. But minor things like services, somebody is your hairdresser, the switching cost is very low. Do you get what I'm saying? So because of that, you must build an experience in a physical center, because people cherish memories. They cherish how things make them feel. You cannot replicate that experience on the internet. You can do it to a considerable level when you bring in convenience. My business is 30% traditional and 70% digital in terms of the model. But in terms of revenue, my business is 10% digital and 90% traditional. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we live in a space, if you don't understand, I started out as a digital agency and then I saw that I was just cheating myself. So imagine now that I'll still have been on 10% of my revenue if I stayed true to my dream of building a digital agency. Are you people following what I'm saying? Yeah, so I decided to go into the game. As I'm standing here today, I'm on over with my clients about 65 billboards in town. So even if one billboard, which is not, is 200,000 naira, that's how much I would have lost every month because I wanted to stay digital. Yeah. So you need to understand the location and the platforms you are using. You can't, there are some things you shouldn't even bother doing on Facebook. Anything that is meant for Generation Z, forget Facebook, go to TikTok, go to Instagram. Right? You want to sell trendy stuff. You want to push content that is for younger people, and then you go and put it on Facebook. No, it's my mom that will like it. She'll be the one to like it, then she'll turn it into a broadcast for WhatsApp, and then send it to the family group, and I won't open it. But that's the reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the reality. You need to understand the audience you're trying to relate with, people you're trying to talk to. Where are they? So if you're not studying numbers, data, there's this book, Data is New Oil. We have not learned how to mine data in Nigeria. So I was doing a research the other day, and I saw how a bank, the bank I use, they know how to plan my finances for me. They know that if I don't get some money on this particular day, I would have issues in a few weeks because I have to make a commitment every month. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Wells Fargo. So they will do me reminders. Are you running low on cash? They want to give me money, of course. The American system is credit. So I will say, no, I'm not running low on cash in Jesus' name. But they don't understand that I fund from here. So that's the difference. So it's when I'm about to pay, I'll just fund the money in. But they just know my spending. They know it's up to that point. How many banks in Nigeria can tell you how you spend, what products you're interested in, where you shop? I was talking in the office the other day, and I said that imagine during the lockdown, a store that you've been shopping from, maybe like Spar, they claim to have a card. Yes, they didn't send me any message to say, is your cornflakes finished? So there's no thoughtfulness because I'm in the house. I can't go out, right? Why can't they send me a message say, oh, you usually buy cornflakes at this time, buy this at this time. Should we deliver? So nobody is thinking about data, but it's very important. I'm trying to build a database system that will help businesses to thrive. It's one of the products I'm working on. I've been working on it for a while. The idea is your data can be plug and play. It's supposed to be run on AI, that's artificial intelligence, so that by the time you fill in all your data, it starts bringing out graphs for you, drawings for you, telling you about different individuals, they have their profiles and all of those things. It will be interesting, I'm sure. I want to move fast. How many of you have been to Jumia's office? How many of you have bought things from Jumia? Yeah. So that's the flip side. I don't want to sound like a prophet of doom. Like, don't do online. That's why I'm trying to balance it. So you can also, like I said, have the hybrid system in place. Don't just say, I'm only going to be online. I know how much I've made just by inviting people to come and see my office. I built an experience center. And then so once people come, they're like, wow, they believe in me. It does a few things to people. I'll tell you one of them. They don't see me as somebody that will collect their money and run. By the time they see the office, this guy has invested in this place. He's here. So there's a level of trust that comes with having a physical presence, having a physical building and all. But still, we make purchases with people that we've never met, we've never seen. We buy things online. So don't neglect that space. The moment you are stuck in one way, you would have problems in the 21st century. Fourth one is single founder. Everybody is guilty. This is one of the easiest ways to kill your business. I'm not saying you must be in a partnership, but I'm saying you must build a system that does not make you the alpha and omega. You see, when one mind, there's a reason why the Bible says two shall chase 10,000, shall put 10,000 to flight, while one is chasing 1,000. It just shows the power in numbers, having people come together. You bring your strengths. We all add our strengths, and your strength eliminates my weakness. My strength eliminates your weakness, because I won't go and pick somebody that is exactly like me. We're doing rubbish. When I pick people of different backgrounds, different experiences, different mindsets, and we come together, we definitely will contribute different areas to the business. So what I did was recently I established what is called a governing council in my office. I made a post. I said the powers that be. What that simply means is these are the people that make the decisions. I happen not to make any decision again. They've reduced my job, so I'm going to resign very soon. All I do now is approve payment. I'll just press a click and money goes out. So it's very boring now. I'm trying to build something new, by the way. So I just opened up another office in town. The reason is because this has become routine now. You know, there's a way you build your business to a point, and then it becomes like you're just going, things are happening, and you can't relate. Okay, don't worry, you relate very soon. But I started as a single founder. I was taking decisions by myself. I was losing money. There was a particular occasion I threw away 100 million. I say this with all sense of shame, but I made it back. So I say that with all sense of pride. Yeah, it was a very painful experience for me. I trusted some people I shouldn't have trusted. I saw a very big opportunity, but I didn't have the capacity to maximize it. So I went to meet people and all of that. You know, these things that happen. And that was how I lost it. But if I had somebody to whisper to me and say, this thing will end in tears, premium tears, I'd have said, okay, let me leave it. But you know, I didn't have that. So I had to work extra hard to make that money back. It's a lesson for you. I share my scars openly, willingly, so that you avoid them when you see them. You know, not every opportunity is a good one. You know, not every opportunity is a good one. So anyway, single founder drama. It's important to have people work with you. Important to have people join you on your journey. Most people don't believe in building teams. I believe in having a team. I can't do anything without a team. If I want to think of a new idea, I'll call some people on Saturday. We'll sit down around the table and start to talk about it. Aside from the fact that it gives your people a sense of ownership and they feel like they're part of what you're doing, it also helps you to see different perspectives to your ideas, because sometimes your thinking is limited by your experiences and your knowledge. Those are things that limit our mindset. My mother has told me some things that they are strongholds to me, because she had a very strong influence in my life in my early years. So when I meet someone else and they're saying, I'm looking at them like, is it possible? Like, until I now literally see it happen. So there are so many things that you don't know. You're limited as a human being. You're limited. So you need that complementary idea, complementary mindset, complementary exchange with other people to help your ideas grow properly. Most people try to do it alone. I'll advise you not to. Honestly, from the first month of my business, I had 3 people working with me. And the fact is, you might not be able to afford that, right? But how about building a group of friends that on Saturday, you can all just talk about your businesses, you know, and just bounce your ideas with each other. Since you don't have staff yet, you have not started paying people, and then you build what is called accountability partnerships, whereby you exchange things back and forth. They endorse, they tell you, no, this is not going to work, and all of that. It's important, and I advise that you do that. If anything happens to you and you're the only one that knows everything about your business, you've killed your business. If anything happens to you, that's the end of that business. So it's important to have systems, structures. You know all those people that lock their phone, they're the only ones that know their password. Everybody that is in my office knows the password to my phone. I'm not saying everybody should know your password. I'm just saying, you know, if something happens to you now, you're the only one that can open your phone, and somebody wants to help you, what will happen? Some people will not smile at this one because they cannot open their phone for anybody. That's okay. But it's important to have people that have access. You're the only one that has access to the bank accounts. You're the only one that... No, I don't think so. I think instead, build an accountability system. The truth is, as a founder, now realize a lot of us are CEOs, right? So that's why I'm talking like this. As a CEO, you will still have control. You're afraid of losing that control. I can sense it. you actually still have control. You will still have control, especially when you're competent. People will look up to you. Even when they want to suggest ideas, they will think, "Will you like this idea I'm about to say?" That's why you notice that most times when you gather your team together, you want to do brainstorm, nobody will talk. Then when you finish talking, you now start hearing things like, "As chairman said earlier," because everybody is trying to align with what you have said. So you still have control. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. But it's important to have people that are confident, that will tell you no when it's no, and not tell you yes just because of your ego. So when you also have people to bear burdens with you, it reduces the pressure on you, on your health, imagine if I have to run around to do everything. But most times I just get information, I get a brief, I just forward it to someone. That's why I say my job is boring. I just forward it to someone, I just do this. Somebody's doing it, someone's taking it. I'll not call. I sent you this thing, I'm not seeing it. And they say, I'll send it now, I'll send it. Then I receive it, then I forward it to the client. So I'm like clearing and forwarding officer. Number 5, I'm trying to move fast. We have 12. My time is almost up. Raising too little money. So I'll go back to my story. I mentioned how I needed to take a loan in 2017. My first loan was 2 million naira. I paid back 2.4 million. The guy gave me that was 40%. No, that's 20%. That's 20%. He gave me at 20%. I didn't even know that it was high. All I knew was I needed money to make payments. I didn't care. It was later that people were saying, "How will you collect 2 million and pay 2.4 when you can bargain for 13%?" I say, "Do you think I did not have information about money?" You see, I came from a school of thought that believed that the art is the deal. Right? What that means is that maybe you're a musician, for instance. Or let's say you're fashion, you're an entrepreneur in the fashion industry. And then you believe there's those things in your sketchbook, there's the money. It's not so. I'm sorry to break your heart. It's not so. That's not where the money is. The money is always in numbers. Because if you design something that maybe when you throw the clothes up, I jump up and it lands on my body and I wear it, and only 5 people on earth buy it, you've not made money. Whereas somebody else will make something called BYC, not the original one, in Aba, and it will sell 1 million every month. Then you see volumes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nothing spectacular, no effort. It just copied a product. So most people, instead of focusing on numbers, I was guilty. They focus on the art. I'm not saying don't focus on the art, be competent, but understand that business is driven by numbers. Business is driven by numbers. So I didn't understand numbers, honestly. I just felt that, just know how to do the advert. Let it be nice. Let us design nice. Let us print it well. Let us place it well. Let the campaign run well. But I was not looking at numbers. That's why I will go and borrow money and not negotiate. I'll just collect the 2 million. I'll pay you 2.4. My clients will pay me more money for this anyway. But I did not understand the power in those little coins. And so I was getting to understand it. I did a consultation for my friend's fashion business. And by the time I analyzed his business, I saw that he had potential to make more money in Kenya. Not even Nigeria, from his numbers. Just by looking at his numbers, I saw that, see the power of dollars again. I saw that if he was charging 50,000 naira for a kaftan in Nigeria, it will only sell about 10 or 15 every month. That's how much. How much is that? If he's selling 10, that's 500,000 naira. He will be broke all the days of his life. I now said that he sells this same thing for about $400 in Kenya. So he has access to HNIs, obviously, in Kenya. So I'm saying, why don't you concentrate on that market? If you sell that same number in Kenya, do you know how much that is? $4,000. Did the material cost change? No. Nothing changed. We only looked at the numbers. So this guy has taken it to the extreme. Now, as I'm telling you, he's in South Sudan. It's unbelievable. Like, I'm like, someone cannot even play with you. I just gave him small. He has entered Kenya, entered everywhere. You see, there is money on the streets like this. Money. Someone has printed it and kept it in his pocket. You see, when you're talking about networking, right? I didn't talk a lot about networking. I should, because I'll be cheating you if I don't teach you. Everybody that you refuse to greet when you walk is money that you've thrown away. Is revenue for your business. Every business card. If you remember in school, I said this thing one time. I said every business card is a potential credit alert. It's a potential credit alert. So every handshake is a potential business card. Do you see how it leads? Every good morning is a potential handshake. Every nice shoes is a potential good morning. I just taught you this principle. You first look for something nice about the person. Say, oh, I really love your shoes. You see, the person will first start like, to show you the shoe well now. Say, ah, yeah, you better look at it well. Yes, because people are moved by those things. You need to, I study people before I meet them. What will I say that this person will be happy? If I don't know, I will call. Please, I'm going to meet this man. We've never spoken before. What can I say? They will advise me. Say, just carry this thing, give out. And truly, the man becomes a baby. I'm serious. Honestly. People do it to me too. Yes, but it works. Do you understand? Like, somebody thought it as everybody has an emotional bank account. And then when you do things like this, you deposit into it. And so the person is owing you. You just find out there are some people under pressure to make sure that you are doing well. I have people like that. Just because of little things here and there. Well, not little to me, but little to them. But they demanded sacrifices from me. Okay, that's not what I want to talk about. So, I want to talk about raising money. Yes, that's a problem, right? Because most people think they can just bootstrap their business and they'll become billionaires from bootstrapping. Why you? So, bootstrapping is not bad. I myself started by bootstrapping. But at some point, you now tell yourself the truth and say, I need to scale. You see, the secret to wealth is in scaling. If you study, and we have a problem in this part of the world, it's a very big problem, is the fact that people start at a level and die at that level. So you find this malam. I was 7 when he started making tea on my street. Everybody on the street loves his tea and buys his tea. But he will never think of starting the same tea stuff on street 2, on street 3, on street 4, on street 5. That way he has multiplied his income by 5. But you meet an Indian or a Lebanese, like it's in them. I'll give you an example. The person that owns cilantro is the person that owns View. Is the person that owns, what's that one? Beirut, right? Is that name? He owns about 5 like that. One person. Is scaling. Like what my friend is doing now, that is going to where they are fighting war. Is scaling. Because if you remain on that particular thing, you have put a cap on the revenue you can make. You have permanently put a cap on it to say, this is what I will make for the rest of my life. But when you take a model that has worked, even if it's 10 you sold, you've learned how to sell 10, now sell 20. So I now have 10 clients. I need to go for 20. So most people don't scale their businesses. And when you want to scale, that's when you know that your money is not enough. So imagine if you had maybe 10 supermarkets and you set a goal to reach 30 in the next 6 months. You will now realize that all your profit and loss cannot get you the 20 you need. You will now know that there are ways to raise money. Easy ways, really. Sometimes difficult. But the beauty is when you're already a post-revenue business. A post-revenue business means you already make money. Someone can look at your books and know whether you still be alive, your business, in the next 5 years, and can say, I want to put in 10 million naira into this business. That's happened to me not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, not 10 times. Not 10 times. I was asking Belumi, my colleague, yesterday, and I was like, do you have an estimate of how much we're working on something, and somebody offered us $2 million, but we need to put in some documentation and all of that. And by the time I saw that, the prerequisites, I saw that I wasn't running my business properly. So you need to learn how to raise money from day one so that your actions will not cost you. So I have to go, for instance, there's an audit I have to do, and they're charging me per year. At the end of the day, I'm going to spend about $20,000 for actions that I could have put in place from day one. I hope you're following what I'm saying. So you see that my story is not all sweet, so that you don't think there are a lot of mistakes I made. So you will need to raise money. And because you need to raise money, you need to do things rightly from day one. So work with that in mind. I know a particular bank. I flew, the owner of the bank put me on his private jet, and we came in from Lagos the other day. And he was telling me how the richest man in Nigeria is owing him 200 billion naira. So I now started thinking, the richest man in Nigeria. But yes, he will never use his money to run business. That's the way people are different too. You see, the rich man believes in what's called OPM, other people's money. So he will collect, you see, the money you have left in the bank, the small money, they've taken it and given to him to make him richer. But you, maybe because of some doctrines that have taught you don't borrow, you will not borrow, you lend to nations. Yes. Wait now. Let's see, no, wait. I asked someone the other day, and I said that we're talking about this thing. You can't borrow for your business. You're a believer. And I said that, so I don't know if I should talk. I can go ahead. All right. And I said that, but when prophet came to this woman's house, she looked at, he asked her and said, what do you have? Says she only has little oil. And he says, go and borrow vessels. So may I consider the money that I'm going to collect as vessels, right? So that I can fill them with oil. That's the way I look at it. And even when Jesus wanted to preach, he borrowed a boat and he stood on it. So I'm not saying that you should borrow money to spend on yourself, right? Exactly. You buy Brazilian hair, or phone. So all those platforms that will give you salary advance, then you take salary advance and go and buy clothes. The only time when it is right to borrow is when it's going to make you more money. And make sure that the interest that you're going to make covers the repayment and profit for you. That's when it is reasonable. Because this same thing that expands your business can shut your business down. It can put you in a hole that for the rest of your life you'll be trying to pay money back. So my second money that I raised was 3 million naira. This one I paid back 5 million. It's wickedness. Because of course I was wicked to myself and they were wicked to me. And so you have to raise money. Sorry, I warned you that I'm a talkative before. I'm just halfway and my time is up. I'll just pick one or two, sir, that I can still. Let's go to Let's go to 11. This one talks about lack of innovation and diversification. 11. Yes. Innovation is not necessarily inventing something new. I'm sure we all know that. Innovation is finding new ways to do old things. So, for instance, I believe that every business that exists today is still trading on old ideas. Someone developed the idea of having a car, someone else turned it to electric car. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so basically, you don't have to invent the wheel, just innovate. Just do it differently. Find a new way to do something old. And that's what innovation is. So most times, we when we copy ideas from the internet, you know what I'm talking about, and you say you want to start that thing in Nigeria, you've not innovated on it, and then you bring in that exact same model and expect it to work. So I'll share another personal failure with you. I was one of the first people that started what's called design as a service, with a product called Quick Social. And what I was doing is I was collecting as little as 50,000 naira from people to design social media content for a month. So I did it. I made noise. It was big. People were paying, but I couldn't meet up with the demand. On two levels, I had too many people wanting the service. And if I wanted to meet that demand, I had to hire more. Now I had crashed the price of my service so much that the money I was getting would not be able to pay for the hands that I would need to meet up with that. That was the first failure. The second failure was the fact that I was the same standard that my clients who were paying millions were getting. So when I tried to drop the standard, they started complaining. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. So I found myself in a hole. I had to do some refunds. There was a particular month I refunded about 15 million naira to people. Yeah, because it wasn't working. It wasn't working. It was a failure. Complete failure. Complete failure. Why? I got a right model, but I did not have the mechanics to make it work in this market. So most people copy that, and trust me, in 2 months, I see that they stop running their sponsored posts and they pack up. You're laughing. You're guilty. Because when they just see that George has done something, let us do it too. And then you just jump in and you sink. It's tough when you do not innovate properly. The idea was born to die. That's a fact. I've looked at it in so many ways. It can be remodeled, but that approach was very wrong. And so you also need to examine what is called your entire business chain, the value chain of your business. This comes in again with innovation, and I'll just explain that to you with my business. So I took my balance sheet one day, and I saw how much was coming in, and I saw how much was going out, and I looked at where the different things were going to. I now asked myself a question. And then Josh, who is here, gave us a brilliant idea and said, these things that we're spending on, can't we create these companies too? And then that's how our brains popped up. That's when I started studying and figured, there's actually something called backward integration. And then I'm like, okay. So you start to own things that people that you give money, you start to become them. And then all of a sudden you keep money in your system. I went to Covenant. I mentioned that earlier. I'll tell you a story about Covenant. You see, the water that we drink is made by Covenant. The notebook that we buy to take to class is made by Covenant. The soda, Ibron soda, is made by Covenant. The bread is made by Covenant. Every single thing. So they built an ecosystem whereby if you come to school with 50,000, you will finish it there. That's minus your school fees, minus everything. So I thought about that model and I said, wow. People are not just up there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nobody's just up there. People are thinking, And so I just put that in mind. And that's how we started doing the backward integration thing. And gradually, we're beginning to own things that we would have been paying money out for. And that's basically how the business runs. I wouldn't want to take much of your time anymore. I think I've talked so much. Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity. I'm sure we would have other opportunities for me to share. But thank you. Thank you.